bittersweet aspect of Halloween 2014 was the final opportunity to wander the hallways of the House of Horrors. Located at Universal Studios Hollywood, this elaborate walk-through attraction functioned as a sort of living history tour of the horror genre, taking visitors scene by scene from the silent era to early sound films to thrillers of more recent vintage, along the way passing characters from such Universal pictures as The Phantom of the Opera, The Mummy, and The Wolfman. Creative director John Murdy explained the strategy behind the venue, saying, "I'm a huge fan of our horror franchise here at Universal, particularly our classic horror films, and I felt we had never really given them their fair shake. With House of Horrors, what I wanted to do was to take the entire brand of Universal horror and do an homage to everything: Dracula, Frankenstein, the fruit cellar from Psycho, Chucky's Toy Factory from Child's Play. So, modern and classic are all together, and each room you go into is a different movie, basically." Universal Studios would not launch the House of Horrors as a year-round attraction until 2007. However, there was a preview the year before. When Universal revived Halloween Horror Nights in 2006, Van Helsing Fortress Dracula was rebranded House of Horrors. Though the castle setting remained the same, House of Horrors lived up to its new name by providing a variety of monsters not seen in Fortress Dracula, which was based on the 2004 Universal film Van Helsing. It was a promising start for what would become a must-see attraction every Halloween. In April 2007, the newly rechristened House of Horrors made its debut. Though much of the old Fortress Dracula structure survived, elements from Van Helsing had been replaced with settings crafted to house a wider variety of characters. Unlike its predecessor, House of Horrors was specifically designed to accommodate an expanded cast for Halloween Horror Nights, a minimum 25 monsters, instead of the 8 or so seen the rest of the year. For 2008, Universal Studios welcomed new guests into the House of Horrors, inviting customers to meet the strangers. The inclusion of the masked maniacs seems to have been a last-minute decision based upon the surprise success of the film The Strangers. Nothing was changed to accommodate the contemporary characters who looked out of place in the Gothic setting. Fortunately, the strangers were merely guests. The familiar monsters still presided over the House of Horrors, serving an even more satisfying blend of tricks and treats to eager customers. The following year, Universal introduced the practice of rebranding House of Horrors to make it sound like a new attraction every Halloween. First up was the unfortunate Chucky's Funhouse. Chucky had always been in House of Horrors, but he was best confined to Chucky's toy store. Elsewhere, the diminutive doll seemed dwarfed by the towering equipment in Frankenstein's workshop. Universal followed suit in 2010, rebranding House of Horrors with a comic book title, Vampire: Castle of the Undead, which was at least more suited to the venue. 2011 saw House of Horrors once again haunted by a Universal monster, the Wolfman, from the recent remake with Benicio del Toro based on the 1941 classic. With its vintage pedigree, the Wolfman was a perfect fit for House of Horrors, and our trek through Talbot Hall was rewarded with what has to be the greatest delayed reaction scare in the history of Halloween. Watch for it at the end of this video. Universal took the rebranding of House of Horrors to a new level in 2012. A sign completely eclipsed the venue's logo with the name Universal Monsters Remix, suggesting that what lay inside was completely different. Perhaps fearing that the venue's permanent layout and memorable settings were becoming a familiar routine, Halloween Horror Nights dusted off the old crypt and pumped it full of new high-volume dance music. Though the decision seemed calculated to attract a young demographic unfamiliar with classic movie monsters, the result was a pleasant surprise. '13 saw the Universal Monsters remixed again. The musical martini remained much the same as before, but with an added garnish here or there, such as some new monsters and an unexpected reappearance by the strangers, whose masked faces, we suspect, were supposed to remind us of The Purge, which had opened earlier that year. Though House of Horrors officially closed its doors on September 1st, 2014, the venue remained in use for Halloween Horror Nights. Taking its name from the Sci-Fi Channel reality show, Face Off in the Flesh retained the bright colors and high volume from Universal Monsters Remix, but added an amazing array of bizarre creatures. It was nice to walk through House of Horrors once more. However, as much as we enjoyed the gyrating Alice in Wonderland, we would have preferred a more appropriate theme for the venue's last hurrah, such as a monster rally featuring all of Universal's classic creatures in a giant battle royale. Alas, that was not to be. Before leaving House of Horrors forever, let's take a moment to relive our favorite scene. More than anywhere else on the Universal lot, the Frankenstein Laboratory achieved the stated goal of Halloween Horror Nights: put the audience inside a living horror movie. Not only was the set overwhelming, monsters filled the space with good old-fashioned horror movie chills. That is, when they weren't dancing the night away. And who can blame them for wanting to party after all the hard work they did for us every Halloween? After Halloween 2014, Universal Studios forever closed the doors on the House of Horrors. That November, Hollywood Gothique bestowed its first Lifetime Achievement Award on the attraction. Whatever its theme and characters, we enjoyed its many variations over the years. The venue provided an immersive environment with sublimely spooky atmosphere. It was Universal's equivalent to the Queen Mary, a setting so perfect that the haunt inside was always enjoyable. Even the milder daytime version was worth a visit. Instead of bidding farewell with a tear, let's recall that House of Horrors preferred to say goodbye with a scream, including that delayed reaction fright we promised earlier.
Pretty scary.